Greetings, LeyLines! It is June 4th, the first vlog of the month, which means it's open to everybody. And so with that in mind, it felt like a great time to talk about a really big change that's coming up with how I do LeyLines and how I do other projects. Most of my patrons already know this. I've been talking about it for months, figuring it out, weighing the pros and cons, but it's going to be new to a lot of you. I know that change can be scary, but I do think that this is going to be a change for the better. And I hope that you'll join me in kind of diving into what makes this change exciting and interesting, and you'll look forward to it as much as I am looking forward to it. LeyLines at the end of chapter 14, that'll be the last chunk that is as a comic. And from that point onward, I will be doing LeyLines as a prose piece. I will also be doing it as an audiobook piece. That's one of the things that I think is new and exciting and fun, is that I will be giving people different ways to access the story. So you can read it, but you can also listen to it. Big part of why I decided to go this way, there's a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons is that I actually feel, having now tested it out, that's one of the things I've been doing, is I've been thinking about this since really early in the year, maybe even January. I've been testing it out. I've been doing little short stories, vignettes, I've written out the chapter 15, and what I'm finding is I actually think that the story is better suited to prose than it is to a comic, because there's so much world building elements, there's so many little details that make the world feel fully fleshed out, there's so many different details and complexities in the narrative itself that in a comic format is very hard to actually realize and flesh out and give you like sensory information. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What do you hear? I mean, you get only visuals with comics, with some exceptions, but I can include that sensory information in prose. I can include quick, easy callbacks without dedicating pages and pages to something for a small detail that really you don't need a page to be reminded of, oh yeah, here, this thing. You only need a sentence, but with a comic, you have to dedicate a lot more time to it. And because so much time goes into portraying content in comics, another thing I realized is that a lot of the fun scenes or the silly scenes or bits of humor that I might have wanted to include in a comic got cut because it was not meaty enough, it was not doing enough work, it wasn't efficient. And that's not to say that I'm trying to write my prose inefficiently, because inefficient prose is no better than inefficient comic work. But being able to have a little more wiggle room and a little more space to include a sillier scene or include a little bit more humor without having to be like, no, it has to be bare bones as much as possible. That is also something that I'm really enjoying with prose. Another aspect is just getting to the story. Webcomics and comics move so slowly, and there is so much still to tell in this story. I really wanted it to be a grand sweeping epic, but I'm realizing that in order to accomplish everything that I want to accomplish with this story, I might have to work on it for another, if as a comic, decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and that's just, LeyLines is not the only story I want to tell. And I feel like moving to prose allows me to tell the story faster, share it faster, get you more content quicker, and get through that story at a pace that is reasonable and sustainable for both you as a readership and me as a creator. With that is that I have other stories I want to tell, and Wavement is one of those stories that Corey and I have been working on for years and years and years, and I really want to get it online. I think it's an excellent story. I think it's beautifully done. I think it's some of the best work Corey and I have done. We work with great artists to illustrate it, and one of the major sticking points to getting it online is that I wanted it to be colored, and the only person I have to color it is me, and I physically cannot do both LeyLines and Wavement at the same time. My body cannot take it. And so what was happening is that LeyLines always won out, and I feel like Wavement has gotten the short end of the stick for way too long. So while I'm not going to be doing LeyLines as a comic anymore, what I hope to get ready and out the door is Wavement as a comic online by the end of the year. And I've already gotten started on some of the coloring of the pages, and we have issue 1 already completely done in terms of inks, just not colored. And I just want to get that project moving forward. I think it has so much potential. I really want to share it with you. And it came down to, I have to change something about what I'm doing in order to make that happen. And changing from comic to prose with LeyLines felt like an ideal transition that I think will open up a lot of doors. It'll open up a lot of time. It'll let me explore different things, bring you different things. What I'm going to be doing is I will take a completed chunk, so a chapter or a vignette, and I will chop it up into what I call satisfying chunks. And for every update on Monday and Wednesday, I will post one of those satisfying chunks, and I will also post the audio version of that satisfying chunk. So it will have regular updates as per normal. Once I get a better handle on how this different process will work, how fast I can produce content, I may change the update schedule, hopefully increase, so there'll be more satisfying chunks during the week. I don't know that yet 100% because I'm still feeling out the process and getting into the rhythm of it, but that is how I'm planning on doing it. So a satisfying chunk in text with a satisfying chunk in audio format as well, and collecting those and putting them also available as a podcast. So that is the big news, at least to my LeyLines who are not patrons. To my patrons, you guys know all of this stuff, so this is just sort of retreading stuff you've been hearing about for months. But like I said, I'm so excited to try out something new and different with this project. I think ultimately the story will really benefit from a different format, and I am so excited to get Waveman out where you guys can see it and enjoy it, because I think it's a fantastic story and I've been wanting to share it forever, and this will allow me to do that. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you know where to find me. You can ping me on Twitter, you can comment here, you can comment on the LeyLines website. Change can be scary, but it can also be good, and I think this is going to be a good change. Take care, everybody. I will see you next week.